Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Leftovers podcast. My name is Cooper.
I'm Kale. Just the two of us today.
Just the two of us today. Yeah, so Paige and Riley were dragged into the Shadow Realm and could not make it. No, but seriously, they had some technical difficulties. We're doing this episode over Discord instead of in my living room this time because my mom is moving and she took the couch.
Can you believe it? The nerve.
The nerve of my mother.
We have important things to do, things to talk about.
Like fucking Game of Thrones. Oh.
Spill the tea, sis.
I'll spill the fucking tea. So you're not caught up with Game of Thrones.
No, I'm like a season and a half behind.
Okay, do you care if I drop spoilers?
No, spoil it all. Kill me, murder me.
I'll spoil this tea. So season 8 in general has just been a fucking mess. Okay, because the writing, I don't know what the fuck the writers were doing. So the writers for Game of Thrones, Daniel Benioff and DB Weiss, kind of forgot what characters they were writing. Jamie goes from being this hero who just wants to do the right thing and who's trying to distance himself from his sister and his family to being like, all I care about is my sister, and I don't really care about anyone else except for my sister, which is weird. And his whole character arc was him, I guess, trying to redeem himself for the things he did wrong, but the writers just kind of threw that out the window at the last minute, and it's very jarring and feels like a wet fart of a character arc ending. Tyrion goes from being this cold, calculating character to just being kind of an idiot. He makes some very dumb decisions, especially in the Battle of Winterfell when he decides to put all the women and children in the crypt, even though he knows that the Night King can resurrect dead people. And he also goes behind Dany's back to free Jamie when he gets captured by Dany's army when Jamie was trying to sneak back into King's Landing. And Tyrion frees him because he cares about his brother. And he tells Jamie to go through the secret passage to get the Cersei, but Tyrion's on Dany's side, so why didn't Tyrion just tell Dany to send an assassin to go kill Cersei? And that could have avoided the conflict in the last 2 episodes. But, I'm not a writer. What do I know? Dany goes from being this liberator to just becoming a complete nutjob and a tyrant in the span of 3 episodes, which is, it makes no sense. Like, there's no logical reason why she became a tyrant in the time frame that she did. Like, a few bad things happened to her, but I don't know if that would justify her actions in the later episodes at the end of the season. Like, it just comes out of nowhere. And I read that Dany's ending was the ending that George R.R. Martin had planned for her character, but which, I think it could work. Like, it would make sense. The motivations are there, but the execution in the show is just so piss poor that it's jarring and it's really disappointing. Bran, probably the most powerful character in the whole series, does nothing. Absolutely nothing throughout the whole season. Nothing at all. During the Battle of Winterfell, he just kind of sits there. Even though he's probably one of the most powerful people in Westeros. He can see the future. He can mind meld people. Okay? He can see the Night King. He knows where he is. So, during the Battle of Winterfell, why the fuck didn't Bran just tell everyone where the Night King was? It doesn't make any sense. Arya becomes a superhero instead of a girl who's out for revenge, although that arc doesn't really start in this season. That arc started back in season 5, but it's really turned up to 11 because during the Battle of Winterfell everyone's struggling and she's just standing there twirling her little spear and killing whites back and forth, and it's kind of crazy, and no one seems to realize how powerful she is Like, it's made out that she's just as powerful as anyone else, but clearly she isn't. And I think there's some wasted potential. And also, like, no one seems to realize that Arya is a trained assassin who could easily kill Cersei if she wanted to. No one seems to realize that. So they just kind of, it's wasted potential, really. And finally, Jon just kind of stands around looking sad, and normally that's what he does, but it's really apparent here. He doesn't really do anything. He's just like, oh, my queen, I gotta protect the queen. It's bad. Like, the first 2 episodes are fine because different writers wrote them, and the first one's just like, hey, you know, Jon and Dany, they're in Winterfell now.
Yeah.
And it's basically like setting up for the battle against the White Walkers. And the second episode does it too, and I really like the second episode of season 8 because it has all of these like really nice character moments between like all the different characters and just everyone meeting each other for the first time. The Hound and Arya have a nice moment. Arya fucks Gendry, and it's like, yas, queen, slay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
How old is she now? Because I'm behind, so I'm not sure.
She's old enough.
Okay,
she's old enough.
All right.
So the battle against the White Walkers and the Whites.
The battle against the Whites.
Members of the neo-Marxist liberal faction, raise your flags. We're fighting the Whites. We're going to kill them all. But let's not get political.
No, this is a family-friendly, wholesome podcast.
So, during this battle, it just feels like they killed characters for no reason.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Just for the sake of it. So, this whole battle is essentially Jon and Dany flying around on their dragons while everyone else fights for their lives trying to defeat this undead army. Now, their genius plan for how to defeat the Night King and his army is to have Bran just sit under a tree, under the Weirwood tree, and do nothing. Just wait and draw the Night King out so someone can kill him. They never really decide who is going to kill the Night King, just he's going to get lured in and someone's going to kill him. When the battle begins, Jon and Dany just fly on their dragons trying to find the Night King. A lot of people die. Like, the first wave of the battle is Dany sending her Dothraki cavalry just straight into the Night King's forces, and they all fucking die. And then after that, it becomes a siege. It almost like a zombie movie where all these whites and the White Walkers are scrambling over people trying to break into the castle and get to Bran, because I mean, really, he's the main target. So Jon eventually finds the Night King, but the Night King gets away because the Night King is a baller. Yeah, I thought the Night King was just going to dab on Jon, walk up to him and kill him, but that's not what happened. And the Night King eventually makes his way to Bran, and the only person there is Theon, because Theon and his people and his crew were assigned to defend him for some reason. I mean, surely they would get some people, like some more people, you know, but it's just Theon and his crew. And when the Night King finally shows up, Bran just basically says, Theon, you're a good person. Go kill the Night King. And he does, and he dies. Like, even though Theon probably knew he had no chance, he just runs straight at the Night King, which is stupid.
I can't believe, like, Theon hadn't died yet. Like,
no, but he dies. He dies here for no You know what the fucked up thing is? Like, if Theon had either waited like an extra 2 minutes, then Arya would have like leaped from nowhere and killed the Night King by stabbing him in the back with Tyrion's dagger. So, like, the really fucked up thing about that scene is, like, Bran has the power to see into the future. But he decided not to tell anyone about how anything would play out.
Yeah.
Or that Arya would, you know, kill the Night King. and save Theon. So he basically just let Theon die. Now, Theon wasn't the only main character to die. Jorah, one of my favorite characters, also died because Dany, after I guess doing a few strafe runs with her dragon, and just a few too, just barely enough to show that she helped fight the army, she decides to land her dragon in the middle of the White Walkers for some reason. I don't remember why. I don't even know why. It's just a stupid place to land. And Jorah just somehow knows where Dany is, so he just kind of teleports from inside of the castle where he was previously fighting to out here next to Dany. And so he and Dany fight, and he dies, protecting her. It was a sweet moment, but there was no reason for Dany to land right there. And there was no reason for Jorah to really exit the castle. And also, like, bad bitch, slay queen meme girl, Lyanna Mormont dies for no reason. She gets pimp slapped by a giant, and for some reason she decides to charge at him with the dragonglass dagger after getting hit. And I guess this is whole, like, oh, she's a bad bitch deal. But she didn't need to go out the way she did. Like, she could have just run away like a smart person.
She, met her fate. She met her fate, going to Valhalla. She's good.
Just the amount of characters that died in that single battle is ridiculous. And they, honestly, like, a lot of them didn't need to die, but they just did. Because, character deaths are emotional and popular, and they get people's attention. So after the battle against the Whites, I guess the show is like, well, we gotta hurry up and get to the ending. And that's another problem with the show. Like, it has some really, really weird pacing issues. Because it's like they're trying to cram 2 seasons worth of content into a single short season, because season 8's only 6 episodes long. Now, granted, some of the episodes are longer than others, but I don't think it's nearly enough to cover everything that they want to. So, episode 4, the one after the battle, is the episode where they're like, well, we gotta hurry on down the King's Landing. And along the way, one of Dany's dragons gets shot out in the sky, which I thought the dragons were supposed to be almost invincible, unkillable, except for magical means. Like how one of her dragons was shot out of the sky by the Night King and his frost lance. But I guess if you just shoot them with the ballista, they'll fall out of the sky. And Dany's closest advisor gets executed by Cersei because she gets captured while they're all heading down the King's Landing. Now, Dany and her forces end up taking King's Landing, and they force Cersei into a surrender, which I guess Dany didn't think would happen because she thought Cersei would be the kind of person to just hold on to her power for as long as she could. But she surrenders, and Cersei and her army ring the bells of surrender. And this is where things take a really wild turn. Because Dany, after hearing the bells, just goes fucking crazy. She goes fucking nuts. She snaps and just burns down all of King's Landing. Almost the whole thing. And everyone's just like, what? What? Okay, I guess we're burning down King's Landing. And they start murdering everyone except for Jon. That's the only thing Jon really does in this series. He's like, hey, what are you guys doing? Stop it. One of the few things he does this series. Now, while all of this is happening, Jamie is trying to find Cersei, and he does, and they try to escape, but Cersei gets crushed by a pile of rocks. Well, Cersei and Jamie get crushed as Dany is burning down King's Landing. And also, Arya and the Hound are in King's Landing. Now, Arya isn't in King's Landing because someone told her to go to King's Landing to kill Cersei. She's just there of her own volition to kill Cersei. And I guess this is supposed to be the climax of her revenge arc. Which, fair, but it would have made a lot more sense if someone had told her to go assassinate Cersei, than instead of her just doing it on her own. Or she could have at least told someone. It's weird. So after Dany is done burning down the whole city, she claims the Iron Throne. And she also makes this very passionate speech to all of her soldiers about how now that she has the Iron Throne, she's going to liberate the rest of the world. And this speech really makes her sound like a tyrant. And while she's making this speech, this is funny. So Jon and Tyrion are just kind of standing back watching her make this speech, and she's not saying it in English. She's speaking to her Dothraki in Dothraki and her Unsullied in Valyrian. And they hear all of the Dothraki start to cheer when she finishes her Dothraki part, and they kind of just look at each other and they're like, uh-oh. Now, while Dany is making the speech, Tyrion approaches her, and Dany accuses Tyrion of treason, and he responds to this by saying, well, you burnt down a city. All I did was free my brother. And then he throws his hand pin away and then gets imprisoned for treason. Jon then goes to see Tyrion, and Tyrion's like, look, you gotta kill this girl. She's fucking nuts, okay? She's a threat to us all. Now, Jon has been the love interest of Dany since the end of season 7. And so, naturally, he defends her, and honestly, he's a good person for doing that, because earlier in the season, it seemed like he was going to turn on her, but he didn't. At least not yet. So he defends her, but then I guess Tyrion convinces him that he needs to kill Dany. And so while Dany's looking at the Iron Throne, Jon is like, I love you, Dany, and then stabs her in the gut and kills her. Jon's betrayal, I don't think it's unexpected, but I think its execution was a little poor, because it does seem a little sudden. From him going like, I love this girl, to being like, well, I guess she's gotta die. And like I said earlier, there probably just needs to be more build up to this event for it to make a lot more sense and for it to have a lot more impact. Because the way it is now, it's more shock than emotional payoff or emotional, I guess, overflow. Now after that, Dany's dragon Drogon comes flying in and sees Jon standing over Dany's body with a dagger sticking out of it. And these dragons are supposed to be intelligent, so you would think that Drogon would just immediately torch Jon. But no, instead, Drogon melts the Iron Throne and then picks up Dany and flies away. What? Like, Jon should have been executed on the spot. And after that happens, Jon just, I guess, seems to walk out of the Red Keep, because none of the Unsullied try to kill him when they find out that Dany has been killed, or the Dothraki. He just kind of walks away, and it's super weird. Then there's this really jarring cut of Grey Worm, leader of the Unsullied, walking Tyrion out into this council of all the lords and ladies of Winterfell. And I guess it's implied this is at least a week or a few days after he was initially imprisoned. Now, you would imagine that he would have been executed by that point, but I guess not. I guess Dany does keep prisoners for a while, despite Tyrion's assumptions. And so during this council, they're trying to figure out who's going to be the next ruler of Westeros. And out of all the people, they choose Bran. Fucking Bran. Out of everyone there. Not Sansa, not Gendry, who I guess would have a better claim than Bran. Not Sam, no one, Bran. And Tyrion is actually the one who suggests Bran, which is weird because Tyrion is a prisoner, and yet he's the one who is essentially determining the future of Westeros. But whatever. It's not the point. They chose fucking Bran because Bran has a story that people can relate to, and he knows the history of the land better than anyone else, so he won't repeat it. Which, good motivation, but there is no build-up to this at all. It just comes out of nowhere. They choose fucking Bran. Bran hasn't done anything this whole season, and now he's the king of Westeros. King of the 7 kingdoms. No, the 6 kingdoms, because Sansa asked him to make the North an independent kingdom. Bran being the king, he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. I'm now the king of the 6 kingdoms. So after Bran is anointed king of the 6 kingdoms, there's a little clip show of everyone and how their stories basically end. Tyrion gets no punishment whatsoever for what he did. for betraying Danny. He doesn't get executed like he should have. Instead, he becomes the hand of Bran. He becomes Bran's hand, his main advisor. John also gets basically no punishment. I mean, he gets sent back to the Night's Watch, but by this point, the Night's Watch has no purpose whatsoever, because the White Walkers are dead, the Wildlings are allies of John and the North, and I guess the rest of Winterfell. And the moment John arrives, for some reason, all the Wildlings are just seemingly waiting for him. And as soon as John arrives, he just leaves. So no punishment for John whatsoever for anything he did. He basically gets off with a slap on the wrist. Now, Sansa becomes Queen of the North, which is good on her. I mean, I feel like that's what her character arc was leading up to. And it's a good ending. Sansa, or no, Arya is like, well, I'm going to go explore the world. What's west of Westeros? And, I mean, other people have already explored the west of Westeros, the Targaryens, at least according to the lore. So that just kind of shows that the show writers didn't do basic research. And also, what's west of Westeros? Essos? I mean, unless I guess there's, like, another continent, I think, at least hinted at in the lore. But, again, like, people already found it. The members of the Targaryen family already found it. And that's the end of Game of Thrones. It ends on a fucking wet fart. Just a terrible ending with no satisfaction whatsoever. Like, the only satisfactory ending, I feel, is Sansa's ending. Because she got what she wanted. You know, and, I mean, everyone else's ending is just, ugh. No payoff whatsoever.
Ugh.
So that's that. A real mess of a rant,
I'm so
I know.
thoroughly turned off by Game of Thrones now. Like,
Good.
not even just the show. Like, I never really liked George R.R. Martin's writing. And, like,
what don't you like about it?
For one, just, like, in general, the characters, the amount of characters, and, like, the importance of, like, family bloodlines really never really appealed to me. I know it's supposed to be, like, analog to, like, War of the Roses or whatever, but, like, listen, like, Middle European history, don't really give a shit. Like, it's just...
Yeah, it's definitely more of a political thriller than an actual...
I want,
like fantasy novel.
Like, a fantasy thing for my fantasy, like...
Your fantasy preference.
Yeah, it's just, like... I don't know, like... Just things like... it's knights and chivalry, and, like, honor. It's all... I don't know. Not for me.
Yeah, remind you of Keegan and his friction folder.
Yeah, it reminds me of, like, I don't know.
LARPers.
Casual sexism and
Might honor.
I don't know, it's just not a good. It's not a good look. Not about it.
It's not blue pilled enough. It's not progressive. Not about it. Not family friendly. Oh, I think it's interesting, but I do agree that there are too many characters. There are so many characters that the show writers kind of forgot about a lot of them. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Clegane Bowl finally happened. Do you know what Clegane Bowl is? Oh, you don't know what Clegane Bowl is. So, well, the Hound and the Mountain finally dueled. They finally clashed, and they both lost, but it was a cool fight. And Qyburn just kind of got thrown out of a tower, which, okay, bye. Bye, bitch. Yeah, that's enough Game of Thrones talk for one day. I think season 8, awful. Okay, only the first 2 episodes are good, and then the rest is like, what is even going on? Is this some kind of sick fever dream I'm having? I also beat Sekiro.
Yes, finally.
Oh, I cringed when I said
it's
that.
Okay.
It's a big yike.
You studied the blade.
Yeah, I studied the blade so much. It took me, according to Steam, 70 hours to study the blade.
Geez, that's a chunky playthrough.
Yeah, well, I think some of that is just grinding, and some of that is just me leaving the game on while I do homework. Because I've had this game since the day after it came out, and it took me 2 months to beat it. But I had school and stuff to deal with, so that's probably why it took me so long. It probably would have taken me like a week and a half if I just played every day straight. But I'm so happy to have beaten the fucking Sword Saint, Ishin. Because he's such a... It's a tough fight, but it's a satisfying one. Because it just feels really good to block all of his super fast sword attacks. And he's just a really good boss. He has a nice combination of moves. And there's like it's difficult, but I wouldn't say it's impossible, because if my dumbass can do it, I think most people can do it.
I see.
What else do I had a lot of fun fighting him, even if it was frustrating. And I think a lot of the bosses in Sekiro are really fun to fight. And I personally enjoy the learning curve, the figuring them out. It's not for everyone, obviously. That's what the whole get good meme is. And I got good. I chose to get good. So yeah, I beat that game. And I think it's pretty. I like the combat. Story, Oh yeah, Paige was supposed to ask me a bunch of questions about Sekiro today, but since she's not here, she can't really do that. So save it for another podcast.
Yeah. Speaking of...
How was your week?
Speaking of katanas and Omaewas...
Studying the blade.
I watched a bit of Dororo.
The Sekiro anime, according to most people.
I don't like that association.
The perfect accompaniment.
I kind of wanted to drop it when I heard that. But I've watched about 15 episodes. I think maybe a little more.
How many episodes are there? How long is it?
It's still going. There are 18 so far.
How many are planned? Okay.
But
it's on Amazon, but they're releasing it week by week.
Yeah.
Is that it?
I think.
Okay.
But
what's the premise?
So you'll like it. It's so.
Well, I mean, if it's like what I heard it is, I'm sure I would like it. And it probably won't make me frustrated or super excited, like mega excited to the point where I can feel the chemicals release in my brain.
There's this samurai noble, Kagamitsu Daigo, and he has this land, and it's kind of sucky. The crops are failing, people are dying, they're sick, suffering. So in order to achieve wealth and prosperity in his lands, he makes a deal with the demons to protect his lands, and they do. And the deal is that he has to give his son, basically, and the demons steal his son's body parts. So the son is born and has no skin and no limbs or appendages or anything.
So is he just like a skeleton?
No, he's got muscle. It's just, he's like a little flesh thing.
Ew.
Yeah. But
gross.
Basically,
disgusting.
He does grow up and he has prosthetics for limbs and stuff, and he survives. And he can't see, but he can see people's souls, and the demons, their souls glow red, so he sees them and knows that they're bad, so he kills them. And as he kills them, he starts regaining his body parts, because those are the demons that stole his body from him. And as they die, their hold over this deal that protects the lands of Daigo, it starts to be undone. And So you get like the conflict
see.
between Daigo and our protagonist Hyakimaru, and then between Hyakimaru and the demons, and Dororo, which is the title. There's this little boy.
So Dororo's the little boy.
Dororo's the little boy.
Yakimaru's
Yeah,
just someone
yeah,
else.
They're a pair. They're a duo. They go do things.
Are they a power couple?
No, that's an oof. Let's leave that to the fan fictions, okay?
Okay.
But it's pretty good. The animation is not like the best, but it's efficient. You know, it does what it's what's required.
You showed me this one clip of this girl who's like, "This is disgusting." Holding a bowl of something.
She's a demon. I'm not going to spoil much because.
Is that why she has demon hands? Freaky fingers.
Yeah, those she's got some tiny little hands. And anyway, bad bitch, fave character.
Slay.
She's so good. She's killing it. But anyway, it's good. Really like the sort of straightforwardness of the story. It's just nice. And there's some like really great like emotional moments in there. I highly recommend it.
Well, I need a show with emotion to suck me back into this world instead of the mind state of disappointment and sadness that Game of Thrones has left me in. I need something to fill this hollow husk of mine.
It's like the only show I've watched in like quite a while. Like I'm sure I've watched something else. I'm blanking on what it is.
Like Armed Librarians.
Yes, I watched. Ooh, that's something.
You've already talked about it, but it's okay.
It's
an oof
watch
of a
it.
show based on what I've heard.
But yeah, I don't generally now watch shows, and I couldn't really tell you why. It just doesn't. They don't call to me like they used to, and so I might watch one show.
It calls
every
me.
like 6 months or something like that.
Damn, son.
Yeah.
I mean, I watch shows, but I think I'm going through a bit of an anime revival, possibly, because the last year, like a few months ago, I got caught up with the One Piece anime. And when I did that, I was looking for shows to watch. And I remembered hearing about this show that apparently is really good, called March Comes Like a Lion, or Sangatsu no Lion. So I watched it. And I watched it some more. And I watched some more. It's really good. The only thing I would really dock this show for is just the way the characters look, because they're missing pupils. They have lines for pupils, just vertical cross hatching, and they have weird, like, overly outlined mouths, like almost like dog mouths. That's how I would describe it. It's kind of off-putting at first, but the style grows on you as you watch. And the real thing that drives this show is the character writing and the emotions. Because do you know about this show already?
I just know it's kind of like a rom-com,
I'm sure,
right?
No. It is. Okay. It is not. It's more of a straight-up drama.
I see.
Because it's about this shogi player who decided to go professional as a middle schooler because he had nothing else going on for him in his life. His parents died in a car crash, so he was taken in by this family who was friends with his father, and his adoptive dad was like really pushing shogi onto him and his other kids, and the main character Rei Kuriyama just like clung to it because the other kids in the family didn't really like him, and neither did the mom. Like, no one loved this kid, so the only thing he could really cling to was shogi, and he got really good at it. And he got bullied in school, so the way he coped with that was by studying shogi, and he ignored all the bullies. And so at the end of his middle school year, like right before he was about to go to high school, he was like, I'm not going to go. I'm going to play shogi professionally. And so that's kind of the premise of the show. And it's about like him growing as a person and as a shogi player. Because in the first season, he starts out being alone all the time and just super depressed. And like, maybe I'll go to school today. I don't know. And there's also this family that took him in. Or this family of 3 sisters and a grandpa and a grandfather. So they took him in. The oldest sister found him outside of a bar one night and was like, oh, come here, I'll take care of you. And ever since then, he goes to their house every once in a while. Or he starts going every once in a while, and as the series goes on, he gets more involved with this family and in their matters. And the role of this family is to like show him that people care and love him. And I guess they're like the first family that really showed affection towards him, and that kind of breaks him out of his shell. And just like, there is a very stark contrast between when he's with that family and when he's not, from like the music to the color palette to literally everything, because that house, it feels so warm and inviting. It feels like an actual, you know, just happy-go-lucky family. And yet it's good. I enjoyed it. And, like, the drama that is there is, like, real. It's engaging enough. It's real drama. Not, like, T levels, but, like, oh, shit. What's he gonna do? What's gonna happen next? So, yeah. Good show. But I'm caught up with it now, so I'm finding something else to watch. Or at least trying to. So I'll watch Dororo.
I see.
Dororo.
I don't know.
See,
I
with your
usually
eyes.
don't pronounce stuff that way, but I don't know. It sounded weird saying Dororo. Just like I can't do that.
Dororo. Dororo. Rei Kiriyama. Shogi.
Yeah, March Comes Like a Lion doesn't really sound like
Sekiro.
my sort of cup of tea. Not about the sort of domestic drama stuff. But
Yeah, there's a bullying arc too involving one of the sisters that is good, but I don't know if it's for everyone.
what does that mean?
There's a well, it's like you said, you're not really a fan of the domestic
But isn't it
drama,
all
and that's-
domestic drama? Like it's
Yes, but this is like the epitome of the domestic drama. And it's also quite a few moments of people being sad about family members dying. I don't know.
eh.
Speaking of the tea, Kale, what is the tea?
Oh my
you
god,
ready
we need
to
to
spill
talk
it?
about James Charles and Tati and Jeffree Star.
Well, you know way more about that than I do, so have at it.
So, I mean, I really don't know a ton. Like, I just, like, absorb the videos. I don't research.
This tea, how topical. Fresh tea.
But, I did watch, I don't know. I'll give a short recap of the tea, but I'm sure everyone knows because it's, like, the internet event of 2019.
It's hard to avoid the Tati, James Charles, Jeffree Star mixed tea.
Very short recap. James Charles is a beauty YouTuber, like, you know, makeup artist, that sort of thing.
Yep.
Is friends with Tati Westbrook, who's another beauty guru. Basically, she has some beauty vitamins that she peddles, and well, they're beauty vitamins. Come on, but
Yeah.
he didn't want to sponsor her beauty vitamins, but then there was a thing with another beauty vitamin company that he shouted out on Instagram, and so she felt offended and made a video, and then there was a back and forth. And just anyway, the latest thing in the controversy is that James has made a video because there have been allegations made by Tati and Jeffree Star that he's like a predator who tries to manipulate straight guys. And so he's made a video sort of recently trying to debunk all that stuff. And like I think it's pretty convincing, the evidence that he brings up, just like all the DMs and stuff.
How he had to show for that company because the company got him into Coachella VIP area. There are also allegations against Jeffree Star now of him also being a predator and being a hypocrite.
I feel like people should know that by now. Like, I don't...
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't really keeping it a secret, was he? Like, he's very, like, open about all of his sexual escapades. So, like, I don't know, the fact people like, is Jeffree Star a creep? I don't know. Like, you know, come on, guys.
Hop off the bandwagon.
I don't know. At this point, like, I'm just like, can it end? Like, it won't end because Tati's gonna have to respond, and it's just like
James Charles is gonna have to respond.
It's just the head of Jeffree Star being embroiled in this controversy. He's gonna have to do more, and I hope it lasts forever. I just don't see, because like
the infinite tea.
I don't see how they're gonna, like, you know, they've made all these messages that are like, oh, I love and support these people, and oh, we can move past this, but like it's
well, they're not gonna truly be able to move past it until they talk in person and sort this shit out.
And it's just like I don't know if it's gonna, it's a dark timeline that we've gone down, where everyone's watching the beauty gurus fight it out, you know?
Yeah, I'm on the sideline eating my kettle chip sour cream and onion potato chips, munching on them.
And I think it's
laughing at their stupidity.
It's so interesting how, like, different segments of, like, the YouTube community react to a controversy differently. Like, because
PewDiePie made his video.
Yeah, so, like...
And I want to say that James Charles, like, messaged PewDiePie in some form saying, like, thanks for the tips, and that was before he made his new video. So, did PewDiePie help James Charles?
No, I don't. I'm not sure. Like, I think, because, like, PewDiePie made his, like, little James Charles review meme, whatever.
Yeah, but then I want to say there's a message of James Charles being like, thanks for the help, I'll take your advice.
But the help was in the video, and it was a sort of, I mean, I guess it was a joke, right?
It was a joke, but he also had some good points. Like, don't start off your apology with, like, I don't think y'all aren't gonna believe me.
His first apology was not good. Like, yeah, it was...
Apologize to your fans, not your parents.
But anyway,
I haven't been keeping up with it as much as you have.
So, like, in the grand scheme of things, like, James Charles oopsie, it's like it's not that big of an oopsie. Like, I don't know, some beauty vitamins that you shouted out on Snapchat, like, because now, like, anything talking about James Charles as, like, a sexual predator doesn't really seem to have any substantive weight beyond just gossip. So, like...
You know, I always thought that the timing of that video was a little odd, just, like, because James Charles made a little bit of an oopsie, and then Tati just, like, exposes him and all of his wrongdoings over some vitamins.
And, like, it's just... It's a little weird. It's petty compared to, like, some of the other stuff that's happened on YouTube that people have gotten away with. Just like, you know, I'm gonna spill the tea here.
Spill the tea.
For all you gamers out there, I have a bone to pick. Listen, John Tron.
Oh no,
yes.
He's gonna pick a bone
Listen,
with
John
me.
Tron. Why did y'all forgive him for that? Like,
Okay, I'm not even caught up on the John Tron drama. I just kind of hear John Tron and then tune everything out because I'm like, well,
basically he went
it's
on
not
a
gonna be
debate
something
with
good.
back in the height
Destiny.
of YouTube shitlords and like freaking alt-right Kekistan and Pepe memes.
Kekistan is
Well,
still
it's just alive and well, and like freaking Sargon of Akkad's gonna be a UKIP candidate. It's we've gone down the timeline, and
I forgot about that. That's super funny.
it's funny, but
Sargon.
like upsetting as well.
It's very upsetting. Sargon, you weren't supposed to go down the darkest timeline. It was just a meme.
It's anyway, back when all that stuff was
Sargon
like
went
super
full
relevant
red pill.
in, as far as YouTube went. He went on a debate with Destiny and said a bunch of, and like, I'm not going to like sugarcoat here, like they were just racist things, and he's come out and like said that he didn't like mean some of the stuff, and like he wasn't prepared for the debate. But there's a difference between being prepared for a debate versus not having the opinions that you have. Like, just because you word them better or more tactfully doesn't change your opinions. And like some of the stuff he said that was just so intrinsically bad that I don't see how like any amount of rephrasing or re-sugarcoating is gonna fix that. And the fact that people have like moved on from that and his channel is still successful and going fine, people use his memes, people retweet his stuff all the time, people that I follow that I like retweet his stuff, and I'm like, I don't know how you could have possibly forgiven him for any of that, because like he hasn't really apologized for having the opinions he has. He hasn't really changed on any of those opinions. He just said he was sorry for any offense it caused, and that's like what the fuck. Anyway, the fact,
I think a lot of that might just be the kind of people.
yeah, that's
who
what I'm
watch
saying.
it.
It's just
Or, I mean,
like
that's
it's
totally
the fact, like, James Charles Oopsie has
I'm
had him ended, right? Basically, well, not really. He's making a little bounce back,
comparatively,
but like
small
3 million
oopsie.
subscribers for his little divot. But like John Tron's fine.
promoting the wrong
Like
vitamins.
John Tron like pretty much went down the list of alt-right talking points, went down the list of like white nationalist talking points, and he's doing fine, and like people respect him, and I just don't see how that's
I'm honestly surprised the John Tron thing hasn't blown up as much as it had, or as much as it should have. Because like this is kind of the first time I'm hearing about a lot of this John Tron goss. I knew he said some bad stuff on a debate with Destiny, but I mean that's all I had heard. I didn't know the specifics. So now I'm really questioning why like not everyone's not going after John Tron and trying to take him down or unsubbing from him. Because I mean I feel like, well, what Pro Jared did was pretty bad, it was terrible, and he is suffering the consequences for it. And his oopsie reached mainstream status, but not.
I don't
John
know, like
Tron.
even because like Pro Jared's like, yeah, he was cheating on his wife and stuff, but like,
and soliciting nudes from underage people.
yeah, and like that's, yeah, he should be off YouTube. Like that's not right.
Is he still on YouTube?
Is he like, what, did they remove his channel or something?
I don't know.
I thought he just lost like 100,000 subscribers. I'm pretty sure he's still, yeah, I mean his game.
Yeah, but still, that's not much compared to James Charles. Like, you said 100,000?
No, 100,000.
That's a drop in the bucket compared to 3 million.
But anyway, just like, it's weird how.
Oh yeah, Pro Jared is still
Yeah, like
on YouTube.
the beauty community is like really. I know they're like hungry for tea. They thirst for the tea.
They thirst
Right,
for
but
the
then
tea.
like also the gamers are perfectly willing to shove any bad behavior under the rug, and I don't think They are being held
Gamers,
accountable.
rise up.
The gamers need to get woke. Get woke.
Rise up, gamers. Get woke. Expand your mind. Become big brain, mega mind. Swallow
Anyway,
the
that's
blue
my
pill,
tea.
everyone. Take the blue pill. Your blue tea. Well, we don't have much else on the docket. So, should we
Yes,
end
I
it?
suppose.
I suppose. So, thanks again for listening to the Leftovers podcast. What was that just
I was
now? Are you
choking.
okay? You choked on the tea. Choking on your blue pills, I see.
Yeah.
Hard to swallow pills. But, yeah. Follow us on social media, Twitter. Expect a lot more content on the Twitter going forward. Okay, we're gonna do teasers. We're gonna do extra content. So, if you're listening, keep an eye out for that.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. All right, bye guys.
Goodbye.